Hello everybody and welcome back to Herbie's Garage. Today working on my 2022 Venom Thunder 125. And I had a couple of viewers ask me to demonstrate what it's like on this bike as you buy it from Venom. So I thought I'd do myself and then I'd have my wife come sit on it. I'm 6'1", my wife is 5'2", so you'll be able to tell pretty much what it looks like if you'll be the right size for this bike or whatever. But in addition to that, after we do this demonstration on the height on the bike as it comes from Venom, I'm going to show you how I lower the motorcycle, and I'm going to show you what it looks like after it's lowered. I'm going to sit on it, I'm going to have my wife sit on it, and you're going to see the difference. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll let you see what it looks like with me on it. And for a guy that's 6'1", this is just about the perfect height. My feet are flat-footed. I got a little bit of bend. I still got a little bit of room, but it's about the perfect height for me. I'll have my wife come sit on it and we'll see what it looks like with her on it. Can you get it off the kickstand? There you go. Okay, I don't know if you can see that or not. And as you can see, she's on the tip of her toes. Her heel's off the ground on both sides. So as you can see, the bike is a little bit tall for her. She has a little bit of a difficult time getting on it, and she doesn't have too much stability because she's on the very tips of her toes. Okay, go ahead and put the kickstand down and you can get off of it. Okay, good size for me at 6'1". It was really tall for my wife at 5'2". So as it sits, probably 5'5" would be comfortable riding it. Below that, you may struggle a little bit. So I thought, I'm going to try my best to lower this motorcycle down to make it rideable for shorter riders. So let's go ahead and get started doing that. All right, first thing, we're going to put this platform jack underneath of it because this is going to help us to be able to remove the rear shock and to adjust the front forks. If you don't have one of these, I highly suggest you getting one. I'll put a link in the description for it. This one just happens to match my bike, which is a plus. I like that. But we'll go ahead and run this thing up. I've already got it up a lot of the way. It'll go down within like 4 inches or something like that. I like it because it goes down far and it raises high. Okay, that gives us a good start right there. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the seat off, and underneath the fender here is a wing nut. Just remove this one wing nut and then we can take the seat off. Okay, then we'll lift the seat up and pull that stud out, and then it goes back this way. There's a couple of hooks right there and right there. This part tucks in here, and this part tucks in underneath this tab. We'll get it out of the way. Okay, first thing we want to do is we want to take this nut and bolt off on the lower bolt for the shock. I've already loosened mine, so I'm going to go ahead and take this off. This is a 14 millimeter wrench for the nut and a 13 millimeter for the bolt. Okay. That was the lower bolt. Now this is the upper one. I just had the nut sitting on there. Now in order to take this shock out, we got to take the pressure off of it. So we'll kind of lift it up and down until we feel like that bolt's kind of loose. Okay, I probably have to go back down. Okay, it's starting to come out now. And once you feel it's loose, go ahead and pull it out. Then kind of stand your shock up, pull the bolt out of the bottom, then you can lift the shock out. Okay, now here's the shock, and it just has a wrap that's velcroed around it, and we'll take it off. And we'll just look at this shock. This is a good shock. It's adjustable down here and adjustable up here, and it's got an air adjustment. It's a good heavy duty spring. It's a nice shock actually. Well, first thing I did is I went online. I thought, man, I gotta find me one that's a little bit shorter. So this is the first one that I bought. And as you can see, it's way too short. So I thought, I'll have to order me another one. So I ordered this one because I thought, well, this has got the same air valve and it's got an adjustment up here. The spring's really close and it's a little bit longer, but it ended up being too short as well. So for my third try, this is what I ended up with. This shock is very similar to the stock shock, except it's about 1.5 inches shorter. This shock will be perfect as a replacement for this one. The width is exactly the same up here. The spring is really close. This is just like 0.5 millimeter smaller, but it's very similar. This actually has a little bit more stroke in the shock itself, because this has a stopper that only allows about this much shock. This one's got about that much, so this has got a little bit more. So we're going to put this in, and this will help lower the back end of the bike. And if you wanted to make it look like the factory original, you can even put this on. It's not going to fit exactly the same, but it'll fit good enough. All right, let's go ahead and put this in. Okay, now we're going to put this in the same as the other one. The other one had the air valve up, so we're going to put this one in the same direction. And we'll just drop it through the hole and bring it into the mount down here at the bottom. And it fits pretty snug, just like the stock one does. Then we'll put our bolt in it. Okay, then we'll just loosely start the nut on the other side. Okay. Okay, now you can see how much lower the shock is compared to the mount. This is where it was at with the other shock, with the stock shock. So now we need to lower the bike down in order to line the hole. So this is what makes this jack so handy, is we'll just lower it down and line up our eyelet for the top of our shock as we're lowering this down. And this may take a little bit of trial and error in order to get this lined up good. Let's see how close we are. Whoop. I think I need to come down some more. I think it's getting ready to start. I think I went too far. I'm going to go back up. Whoop, there it goes. I'm going to wiggle the shock side to side, and then it goes in. And then I'll put the nut on it on top. Okay. Okay, that's tight. Okay, that's good and tight. Okay, now we're going to adjust the front forks. And first thing we need to do is take off these reflectors. They just unscrew. Do it on both sides. You don't even need a wrench. And then there's two pinch bolts down here at the bottom. These are 5mm. And the top ones are 6mm. We'll just loosen these up real good. There's one up here. That's the 6mm. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Okay, we moved the jack from the center to the front, right in front of this exhaust pipe. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lower the front end down so that these forks will come up. And you may have to push down on them a little bit, raise them up. Now, if you're wondering how far up you need to go, we need to make this equal. I know that the rear shock is 1.25 inches shorter. So we need to raise this up. We need to raise the shock up into this top triple clamp 1.25 inches. And what I'm doing is I'm measuring below the blue and to the top of this clamp. And now that I got my measurement where I want it, I'm going to snug this down. I'm not going to tighten these yet. Just going to snug that one down, then we'll go to the other side. We want to do the same thing here. We want to raise this up to where from the bottom of the blue to the top of the triple is 1.25 inches. And that's just a little more right there. 1.25 inches. Okay. So they're both set at 1.25 inches. Now we can tighten everything down. We'll get these two down here at the bottom as well. And you got to go back and forth on these, because when you tighten one, the other one will loosen a little bit. So kind of go back and forth. There we go. Now we can put our reflector back in. Same thing on this side. We'll tighten it all down. Go back and forth on tightening these. Okay, now we'll put our reflector back in. And one thing you need to be aware of when you're moving these forks up and down, you'll probably get some scratches on it from sliding through your triples, which I have a few scratches on it, but it's not a show bike, it's a trail bike, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, now we want to line these tabs up and put the seat on and shove it forward like that. And at the same time that you're pushing down, push forward until the bolt hole lines up, and then it drops in. And we'll put the wing nut back on at the bottom. And we'll call it a day. All right, I'm going to sit on it. Wow. I got several inches between me and the seat now. It's probably dropped it down seat height, I don't know, maybe 3 inches or so. But I need to have my wife come out here and so you could see what it looks like with her. I'll be right back. Now you'll see a big difference with her getting on, sitting on this now. Feels better, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Okay, that's what it looks like with my wife on there. And as you can see, her feet are touching the ground. She's not on her tippy toes anymore. And you say it feels more comfortable to you?
Oh, it's a lot more comfortable, yeah.
Okay. So she's 5'2", and she's sitting, her knees are bent a little bit, and her feet are flat on the floor. Bounce up and down on the seat. Push the shock down. See, we still got quite a ways before it would ever bottom out, so I think that's going to be good. Okay, this feels like a completely different bike to me, and my wife says it's so much more comfortable for her at 5'2", so this is a lot lower to the ground, and I think we still have enough suspension travel. I think it'll be fine. I need to ride it around, see what it's like, but I don't think we'll have any problem with it bottoming out. And I've got the shock set pretty soft, so I can always stiffen it up so it doesn't recoil so much. But it does feel pretty comfortable. I think it'll take the bumps well, and it's got enough room. So the only issue is the side stand. So we're going to take care of that in the next video. All right, that'll do it for the lowering of the Venom Thunder 125. I think we dropped her down several inches, so it's going to be fantastic, I think, for shorter riders, younger riders, more than likely. So if you would like to get the shock for yourself, I'll put a link down in the description for you. So that'll pretty much do it for today. I ended up buying 3 different shocks. It took me 3 tries, but I finally, I think, got the right one, because you want the geometry right on the bike. You want to leave it as close as you can to original. And that's what I did. The back shock is 1.25 inches shorter, and I raised up the shocks in the front through the triple trees 1.25 inches. So I dropped it 1.25 inches and I dropped it 1.25 inches, so it's at the same plane that it was before. So the geometry should be good in it. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you today. I appreciate you coming along and watching, and I'll see you on the next one.